And now it's time for an update on the Princess of Wales, Kate, of course, but not the one that everybody's hoping for. The CEO of the London clinic has said all appropriate investigatory, regulatory and disciplinary steps will be taken when looking at the alleged data breaches of the Princess of Wales and the files that she may have had looked at amid her abdominal surgery. Let's bring in royal commentator Robert Jobson. Robert, good evening to you. Welcome back to the Independent Republic of Mike Graham. It's a hell of a mess, this, for the London clinic, because it's been, for years, it's been the place where not just members of the royal family go, but a lot of famous people go for sort of what you might call discreet treatment. But this has really blown the gaff off it all, hasn't it?
I have to wait and see what they come up with this investigation. Yeah, the fact that someone's been trying to check out her records is pretty appalling, and the fact is it's going to cause a massive problem for them going forward. Because, you know, ultimately it's all about trust, and this is why people are paying the big bucks, not only for the best treatment, apparently, but also the discretion of the people involved. But, you know, it does seem here that there's been a blunder. We'll have to wait and see what happens with this investigation, but it's a huge story.
It really is. And, I mean, coming on top of the huge story that was here just a couple of days ago when the video was released, the huge story before that when the news that she and William had been out in the farm shop, coming on back of that big photographic scandal. I mean, it just keeps going on and on and on. I mean, the last time you and I spoke, Robert, I think you, like many people, was saying, you know, it's time to sort of leave her alone. But it's almost as though they keep sort of giving us more reasons not to.
Yeah, and I don't think it's all down to Kate. I don't think it's her fault at all. I think the problem is the reality over the photograph. Yeah, that should have been checked by our own people. They should have asked the question. They should have made sure that it wasn't messed around with or doctored. She's, after all, an amateur photographer. She's not been very well. I think they should have been all over this, but certainly not throwing her under the bus and saying that it's all down to me, my fault. I think it's really down to the comms teams at Kensington Palace, personally, because ultimately they get paid big bucks to actually be in charge of these things and make sure things are put out correctly. But ever since then, it's just been more and more controversy, more and more problems. And it's not really, you know, even now we're getting videos that were in the Sun, video and photographs in the Sun that were pretty clearly not you know, just casually, not with any makeup on, maybe a little thinner than normal, just after recovering from her treatment. But now people are saying it's not her. You know, I mean, the world's gone a bit nuts with all this sort of stuff.
Oh, I think it has. And in fact, in some ways, it's almost, there's no way now to prove that that whatever they think is not true, because they're absolutely obsessed. And I think a lot of it is being fueled by the United States of America. You know, a lot of it's fueled by this kind of, you know, team Meghan and Harry versus team William and Kate. You know, it's all become very toxic, hasn't it, between those two groups of people. And so the conspiracy theories are off the scale. But I said this to somebody last night, Rob, you know, this is similar now to when I used to take late night calls on my overnight show on talkSPORT from people who said they didn't believe the moon landings, they didn't believe that 9/11 actually happened, it was an inside job, they blew up the World Trade Center from inside. You know, these are the same kind of people who are now saying all of the mad stuff. They're never going to be convinced.
No, they're not. And every 20 minutes or so with this last weekend, I've been getting calls saying, oh, look, I've got it on the best authority. You know, the BBC are going to make a major announcement any time now about the royal family. You know, be on your... And they've got it on the best authority. It's not a made-up. And I just, at the end, was just saying, well, it is made up. It's not going to happen. So it just shows you the power of the internet, the power of the trolls, and the power of these people that are putting out false information. It's not, I mean, the reality is you don't have to look at the video and it's quite clearly her. I don't think they helped themselves. I don't think that William was skipping that. The memorial service of King Constantine, that really helped because it all started going on from there. But when the picture itself was an error of judgment. So, but with a bit of luck, I think actually the video and the pictures that were put out, which were by the Sun, will finally put an end to it. I do think that they will put an end to it. And even now, you've got some of these people wearing free Kate T-shirts. Well, you know, free her from what? The fact is, she's not being held prisoner. She's recovering from treatment. I mean, I do think they made a mistake at the very beginning, because if they were going to be very private about her procedure, they should have just said she's going to hospital for a deeply private procedure, and that was it. Not discuss things about abdominal or anything like that. And that would stop all of these conspiracies, because if it's private, it's private, and you leave it at that.
And what is being said sort of behind the scenes, Robert? I don't want to put you on the spot, because I know you don't want to give away any sources or anything like that, but you guys like yourself, you talk to people sort of constantly. Is there anyone who's kind of going to be getting the blame for this? Because Kate kind of took it upon herself to take the blame for the Mother's Day picture. But as you say, the whole comms team doesn't seem to have a clue about what strategy they should adopt. And so, I mean, what's being said kind of behind the scenes about, are they running around like chickens with their heads cut off or what?
I think they're simply focusing on the next job, which was, William doing his job to do with homelessness and putting information out about that. I think they're a little bit blind to the fact they've really made a mistake. I think that the palace itself, I mean, the problem they've got here is that even there's interfighting between Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace. You've got people at Buckingham Palace saying, oh, look at the mess up by Kensington Palace. What they don't seem to understand, Mike, is that if you're in Washington or Chicago, you only know of one palace, and it's the palace that's brand royal family. And it looks like a complete mess up from the whole of the royal family. And I think that's why, personally, I think they should probably go back to the future, if you like, and have one Supremo in charge of all the palaces to do with media, who'd have to report to the king. Come Monday morning, if you had a mess up like this, reporting to the king would be an easy thing to do. So making sure your troops all singing from the same hymn sheet would actually be a solution. Right. And that you wouldn't get people just putting stuff out without the amount of checks that is needed for an organisation that has to make sure it's got its authenticity and its integrity, which has completely been lost.
Yeah, absolutely right. And it won't help, will it, that the Crown is leading in the BAFTA nominations department while this is all going on, because I think a lot of this is also down to the fact that people have been watching the Crown. And I said this right from the beginning. As soon as you start interpreting actual facts and making stuff up and putting it into what people think effectively is a documentary, the view of the world on what's going on inside the royal family will be changed forever. And so now, the Crown, I wouldn't be surprised if the Crown decides to have another new series.
Well, they made a lot of money and they're very, very popular. And actually, if the royal family had embraced the Crown rather than just rejecting it, maybe that would have been a more sensible way of doing things. They would have probably had more advisors on it and could have probably helped getting it to be closer to the truth. I personally, in some of it, quite enjoyed the Crown. I think if you accept that it's a work of fiction based upon facts rather than the other way around of fact based upon somebody writing around it, it's quite enjoyable, but as a work of drama. And I think that's really all that they should be emphasising, that they've got good actors in there. It's quite expensive production, but maybe they could have got some more advice on it in terms of the accuracy.
Yes. I mean, once again, even though there's no real story here, the real story is more interesting than anything they could have made up.
Well, I mean, we still don't know what's wrong with what's happened with Kate, and it's not really our business to know. Just because it's information the public wants to hear doesn't mean it's in the public interest. And I think that's the point. You and I, if we don't want our personal medical condition revealed, that's within our prerogative, and it should be hers. I believe that they've done the right thing with the king because he's the head of state, and he's still got his constitutional role to play. But as it comes to Kate, it's a personal matter for her, and I think they've handled it wrong, but quite badly actually. And it could have been done better from the start in terms of just little things like photographs of her looking at Get Well cards, or photographs or video taken by Andrew Parsons, who's working for them actually already to do who was the guy working for Boris Johnson behind the scenes on all those. Video, all those photographs when he was at Number 10 and other prime ministers. He's already there working with them to try to produce an archive. So why not get him, a trusted guy, to take the photograph? Then it wouldn't have been messed around with. So there's been fundamental mistakes, but I think they probably learned from them, and let's hope it's not too late.
Yeah, perhaps they're on the mend after all. Robert, good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Royal author and journalist, of course, Robert Jobson there with the latest from Kensington Palace, or any palace. Will we hear from them before Easter? That's only over a week away now.